Hi, it's Wednesday. That means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today we're going to discuss widowers and Mother's Day. I have an email here from someone who is newly married to a widower and has some concerns about the upcoming day. So we'll read her email, then we'll discuss three things that she needs to consider. In fact, you all need to consider on these special days, whether it's Mother's Day or otherwise. So we will get going. Here's the email from her. Says, Dear Abel, I am newly married to a widower. He and my son, my stepson, want to visit the late wife's grave on Mother's Day. I'm fine with them making this visit, but feel pressured to go with them, even though I don't want to. I'm not sure what to do, as I feel that going will be painful for me as I see them grieve over the loss of their mother and wife. But if I stay, I feel like the widower will think I don't support him. What should I do? It's a great question. And I think it's a question that applies not only to Mother's Day, but a lot of the other special holidays that are out there. It's common to have these feelings out there about what's appropriate to do, what's appropriate not to do. So what I'm going to do, on a very high level, I'm going to say there's not a right or wrong answer. I know a lot of times people say, well, what should I do? And it's one thing if you're putting up with abusive behavior. It's something else if you're putting up with, somebody wants to commemorate Mother's Day of the late wife. So a lot of it just depends on what you feel and whether or not you want to do it. So keep in mind, I'm not going to tell you what to do here, but know that you're not obligated to do anything widower related, and that goes for anything, not just on Mother's Day or anything else. You're not obligated to be there on special occasions or like her birthday or their anniversary or the date of her death or any of these other days that come out, whether you're married or dating to a widower. First of all, just know that you're not obligated, and so don't feel obligated to participate in these things. Really, the first thing you've got to do is sit down and have a conversation with the widower. I've had enough of these. I've seen enough of these on the Facebook group or in my inbox where they'll say, this day's coming up, what should I do? And, I respond and say, well, what's the widower's plan for the day? And they reply, well, I haven't asked him. Okay, and I say, well, go ask him. And they get back to me later and say, oh, here's his plans, and they were different than what I thought, or he didn't have any plans at all for that day, so it was a big nothing. Or sometimes it was, here's the 5 things he wants to do on that day. So anyway, the first piece of advice is, and you said here at least in this email anyway, that they do want to visit the late wife's grave. So for the first thing really is to ask, what is it that you want to do? So instead of playing mind games, maybe just clarify exactly what it is they're going to do that day. Are they just going to visit his late wife's grave? Are they doing, lunch afterwards? Are other family members going to be there, right? Or other, not only maybe his family, but the late wife's family. Just kind of figure out maybe the details. That's the first thing I do before you decide whether or not you want to go. But to have a communication thing. Honestly, the biggest problem I see is couples playing these mind games with each other. Like they think they can read the other person's mind, and so don't do that. Don't just assume that this is what's going to happen on this day just because it's happened in the past, or don't assume that he just said, well, we want to visit the grave, and maybe that's the plan. Honestly, especially the more in advance you can do this, the better. But I think we're coming up on, I don't know, what is it? 2 or 3 weeks or something till Mother's Day. It's a good time to go out and just say, hey, I just wanted to confirm your plans for Mother's Day, whatever. You said you wanted to go, that you and, your son, whatever his name is, you and Junior wanted to go out and visit the late wife's grave. Is that still the plan? So first of all, find out what they're doing and communicate that. And then, if it's something, again, you feel uncomfortable doing, the other thing that you said is that you feel pressure to go, and you didn't say why you felt pressure. So you didn't say, again, is this something that the widower has told you he wants you to be there? Is it just because you've been there in the past and it's kind of a tradition, or is it just kind of that internal pressure that we give ourselves sometime, like I've got to step up and do something, and a lot of times you don't have to. So I guess that's the other thing I would ask is, where do you get this sense of pressure that you need to be there? Anyway, I tie that in because the second thing you need to do is, once you have this information about what they're doing that day, you need to sit down with the widower and tell them what your plans are. And if you decide not to go, again, that's fine. You're not under any obligation to go. Absolutely not. But I think when you give the reason of why you're not going, is don't make it necessarily about you at first. I would just say, look, this is a special time. This is a kind of a private moment. I feel uncomfortable, or like if you've gone to the past, just say, this is this is kind of a private thing between you and your son. I just don't feel like I should be there. Try to make it more just about them and making the experience special for them. Now, if the widower is insisting that he still wants you to be there for some reason, then I think you can go and bring it up and say, look, this doesn't make me feel comfortable being there. It's hard for me to see you crying or whatever it is. I know you had this special relationship. It's just emotionally hard for me. However it is you want to word it. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. But at that point, if you've given him those two reasons, hopefully he's respecting your wishes at this point. If he's not respecting your wishes, there's maybe a bigger problem here. But if you said you want to make it about them and he insists, and you say, well, I don't feel comfortable going, I think that's fine. But hopefully, and any widowers that are watching there, please respect your girlfriends or your late wives, haha. Respect your girlfriends or your wife's wishes on this. Don't really force them into doing something that they don't want to do. It's not, force is never a good thing in any kind of relationship. And if it's something that you feel that you need to do, or you and your kids want to do, that's fine. But maybe make it about you guys. If somebody's uncomfortable being there. And by the way, don't force your kids to go either. I will say I've heard of widowers who kind of force their kids because they think it's good for the kids. If the kids don't want to go, don't force the kids to go. If you need to go, if it's for you, that's fine. Go and get it done, but don't force girlfriends, wives, or kids or anybody else to go. All right. Anyway, so you want to communicate with him what his plans are. You want to communicate with him what your plans are. And the third thing I would add in here is what expectations do you have for that day? At least in this email that I read, you're obviously married to a widower, so you didn't mention if you have any of your own kids, but at least you're a mother to his stepson. So what, if anything, do you expect for that day? Do you expect, like, after they go out and do the grave thing, that later that night, whatever, he makes a special dinner for you, or you guys go out as a family? I would probably just clarify that as well and just say, hey, this day is important to me. Or, again, if you have your own kids, say, hey, I'm a mom too. Or, if you don't have kids and this is, and you're a stepmother, you can just point out and say, it's an important day for me. I love being the stepmother to Junior. What can we do to make the day somewhat special for me too, or something like that. Anyway, but again, the whole point is really, the whole point of this is just to communicate your plans and intentions to each other. And honestly, 90% of the problems I think that revolve around this day would go away if couples would just learn to communicate their expectations and their wants for that day. Again, if you're a widower and you want to go visit the late wife's grave on Mother's Day or any other special occasion, that's fine. There's not a problem with that. Just don't force others to come with you, and and realize that that others may not have the same, they may not feel the same way as you do about that day, and that's fine. But just maybe assess why you're going and the reasons for it. So anyway, hope that was helpful. If you have more questions, you can drop them in on the comments below. It's a great source for new for some of these new videos that I'm doing. Also, just remember, go out there and have a fun Mother's Day. Again, whether you're a mom or not, or whatever, we all have a mom. You can go remember your own mom in your own life. Have fun. Feel free to comment, subscribe. If you have other ideas what this newlywed can do on Mother's Day, leave them down in the comments below. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and I'll see you next Wednesday.